Hello and welcome to Jordan Sorcery's Magic Mailbag episode 2. This is the series where I take a look at some of the absolutely amazing stuff that has been sent my way by very generous folks out in the wider tabletop community and by companies as well who want me to take a look at their cool new stuff. I'm going to be going through 5 things that I've received, and I am not kidding, there are some really awesome things here. I should note up top that I'm also going to talk about a way for you to win a copy of the brand new Dystopian Wars starter set. And there is something here that will actually blow your minds. It blew mine. I am really reeling from something that is truly incredible. For OLDHAMMER fans and fans of history that could have been from Games Workshop, this is going to be, it's surprising, it's incredible. I still cannot believe that I have this thing in my possession. We'll get to that last, because I'm like that. I will say that it's related to Battlefleet Gothic, and it is honestly awesome. Okay, but before we get to that absolutely amazing thing, there's some other awesome stuff to go through as well. I am really surprised here. So I recently made a video about Man of War, the history of the Warhammer Fantasy naval combat game. I absolutely love that game. It's incredible. It's one of my favourite GW games. And now have received not 1, not 2, but 3 different naval combat games of very different types. And it's really fun to see just different ways of approaching similar subject material. Not fantasy necessarily, but like really interesting attempts at creating naval combat games, miniatures war games. So we're going to cover off some of these. This is the theme for this episode, which I think will be fun. But first, I'm going to talk about a couple of miniatures that I received from folks orbiting and around and to do with the Lead and Steel event that takes place in Sheffield around April each year. So if you're not familiar with it, Lead and Steel is an indie OLDHAMMER event that brings together loads of fans of classic gaming, and just it's a really fun way to get together and play some classic games and to share some cool stories and to buy some cool stuff and to just have fun kit bashing and painting and doing all that kind of stuff as well. It is really, really fun. I am so gutted that I was not able to make it this year. I was intending to go, but I was not well, so I couldn't go. But Matt, the organizer of the event, who is absolutely lovely, has actually sent me the official miniature from the event, which is really awesome. I am incredibly generous. I feel a little bit guilty because I didn't go, but I've still got the actual miniature. It is really, really cool as well. So this is inspired by the Rogue Trader JOKAERO of old, an actual sort of updated JOKAERO miniature that I think is really, really cool. Sculpted by War Factory, cast by Ramshackle Games, Lead and Steel 2026. It is so nice. It just a really beautiful miniature. Absolutely incredible. A JOKAERO engineer in the style of like classic Rogue Trader. I think it's fantastic. And it's a lovely quality resin. Ramshackle were actually responsible for casting my own Jordan Sorcery miniatures, so I love their work. I have, in celebration of this miniature, written a little article about the history of the JOKAERO and how they came to be in Rogue Trader. That is available at patreon.com/JordanSorcery. It's free for anybody to read. It's up now. And yeah, I think that this is an amazing example of just a classic, characterful type of creature that exists in the 40k universe and still exists in the 40k universe. Obviously made a return a number of years ago, but has a very cool modern-ish miniature as well. So very cool to see. Very on brand for indie OLDHAMMER and just a lovely miniature. So thank you, Matt, for sending me this. I'm very, very pleased to have this. I hope that I'm able to do it justice at some point, assemble it and paint it and put it together, because it's really fantastic. So thank you. And then there was another miniature that was sent to me that is sort of to do with Lead and Steel. So Chris of Darker Days Radio, also known as Doc Ether online, you can find links to his various different profiles in the description down below. Chris sent me an amazing White Dwarf miniature. So this is the actual classic original White Dwarf. And it is so great. He ran a stall at Lead and Steel where he had loads of OLDHAMMER miniatures, classic metal miniatures, that he was selling and giving the money to charity. He raised, I think, over £1,000 for charity. Absolutely awesome. Incredibly generous to send me this as well. So I'm very, very grateful. Thank you, Chris. It is a beautiful model. You will probably remember it from the John Civic art that was on White Dwarf 90, which was the celebratory issue of 10 years of White Dwarf, for which this miniature was made. This is the same art that also graced the Hero Quest character card for the dwarf, and the dwarf from Hero Quest, the plastic dwarf, is a different version of that same White Dwarf character. So there is some amazing history to this guy. I think I might be missing just the little spike on his helmet, but that's no problem at all. Can easily add one back in if and when I get this guy painted. But it's just an amazing piece of history. Absolutely awesome miniature, and I'm very, very pleased to have it. Yeah, it's just so cool. So thank you, Chris. I am really very pleased to have both of those amazing miniatures in my possession. Thank you so much, guys. And I will be making every effort I can to attend Lead and Steel next year. I believe it's currently set for the 3rd of April next year. I've already got it in my diary, waiting for that to shore up and get confirmed. I'll be booking my ticket as soon as it's available, because I really do want to get down to it, because it looks absolutely awesome. So consider that my recommendation to attend Lead and Steel next year. I will be going. I'm really looking forward to it. Can't wait. Right, now, let's get on to this episode's big boy. This is massive. This is the Dominion of the Dragon 2-player starter set for Dystopian Wars. So this is a sort of steampunk miniatures game, naval combat miniatures game. It's released by Warcradle Studios. You may remember Dystopian Wars from previous editions. I remember playing it, gosh, it must be like 15 years ago. It was always a very cool, very good looking miniatures game. It started off as, you had resin miniatures of all of these kind of steampunk nations, and it would be just completely over the top, wild and wonderful stuff. It took that kind of steampunk vibe to the nth degree. So if you think about like sort of the Mortal Engines, where it's kind of cities, entire cities on tracks racing across the ground, there were land-based units for Dystopian Wars that were exactly like that. You may remember that on the last mailbag, I actually played through the first game book that is set in the Dystopian Wars universe. That was called Valiant. This is the new starter set for the Dystopian Wars miniatures game. There's loads of other stuff happening. There's like Armoured Clash. There is a skirmish game on the way. So the Dystopian Wars, the Dystopian era, sort of is the broader name for the universe, continues to expand, continues to grow. They're investing loads of time sort of adding new stuff to it. I'm going to be doing a video very soon about a studio visit. I actually got to go down and meet a load of the designers and the team who are working on Dystopian Wars and Armoured Clash and other games for Warcradle Studios. I had so much fun. It was genuinely awesome. Got to chat to James Hewitt, the designer of Warhammer Quest Silver Tower, another amazing classic Games Workshop game that I absolutely love. And he's working on these games and just having a blast and doing really, really fun, cool stuff. So I was very excited to get my hands on this, and I really can't wait to open it up. So this starter set is everything that you need to play a 2-player game of Dystopian Wars. It has got 2 different fleets. It has got 2 sets of rules in here. It's got all of the tokens. It's got all of the cards you need. There's objectives. There's merchants and random like critters and neutrals. There are tokens. It is, it's a very heavy box. There's loads of stuff in here, and you can see from the back contents, you get the 2 fleets. You get the fleets for the Crown, which has got 2 cruisers or monitors, 2 submarines, 4 destroyers, strike rotors, hovercraft, aerial escorts, SRS tokens. You get the Empire fleet, which has air cruisers, Bangpei explosive automata. There's like a cool looking dragon flying ship, which looks very, very cool. A load of other smaller ships as well. Like, it is an incredible like looking set in terms of what you're getting. I'm going to open it up and we're going to take a look and see exactly what's in here. It is a very nice looking box. I'm very impressed. And then it is chock full of stuff. Look at this. So obviously we've got, there are flyers and stuff like that, just telling us more about the factions. So as you can see, Armoured Clash, which is the land-based version or equivalent of Dystopian Wars. There's like Martians, and there's all kinds of like high-tech, like robot dudes flowing about. There are all of the different movement rulers and tokens, templates. I love this idea. The fact that you get 2 copies of the core rulebook, so you can literally split the set and give each player a full copy of the rulebook. I think that's really, really cool. Like, it's a genuine 2-player starter set, and it's also a very nice pocket size or satchel size, so you can get your rulebook in there. And then it's beautifully produced. It's really nice graphic design. There's loads of lovely pictures. I mean, look at the beautiful absurdity of a Statue of Liberty on an aircraft carrier. Very absurd, very cool. Loads of really nice stuff in here. Zeppelins and all kinds of things like that. Some really fun art. Some really cool design. Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of the world. I think it's just, it's got some very appealing, like, design aesthetics. I'm a big fan of like steampunky sort of Victoriana kind of stuff. So to see this is really, really nice. Then you get an introductory Dominion of the Dragon campaign booklet. So this features the unit profiles for the various ships and units that we've got in the set. And it's got what looks like a 5-act campaign with a full story. So that's really cool. So you can play through that straight out of the box. I've seen this, and this is a full big fold-out map, which I think is really, really nice. Just so you get like a very cool, I won't fold it all out because it's really big, but you get a really nice map. And on the other side, there's just some lovely art if you want to have a poster instead. I like the map because I quite like that thing. It helps sort of give me a bit more immersion into the world. So yeah, and then loads more tokens, dice, cards, bases, and then these lovely miniatures. I really want to find. So I really like the actual, like, the sea bases. So you can see the textured sea base. There's actually some land-based guys here as well. That's interesting. Submarines as well. So they're obviously going beneath the water. These are the ones that I'm interested in right now. So I saw some of these out at the Warcradle studio when I got to sort of take a look at it and have a very quick look at some of the actual game in motion. And it's really, really cool. There's these like flying dragons, and they have a real, you may remember, games like Crimson Skies or movies like Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow, that kind of steampunky sort of energy. And these are just, they like are properly recreating that or moving forward beyond that, going way beyond that with like really cool, outlandish, fun designs that I think had a lot. It is a really incredible set. I mean, like I say, you're getting, what did we say you were getting in this starter box? You're getting a huge amount. So you're getting 2 full fleets. So you get a full fleet of Crown, a full fleet of Empire, and you're getting what? 2 major ships. You're getting 4 smaller ships. There's hovercraft. There's submarines. There's planes. It's a lot of stuff actually in this box, and then bonus stuff as well. So you just get like neutral merchants, merchant ships, objective tokens, platforms and objectives, some like terrain. Yeah, I'm impressed. I'm really impressed actually by just the volume of stuff in this box. As a starter set, this literally is everything you could want. I don't know how expensive this starter set is. I ought to find that out. It is a really good introduction, just in terms of volume and like what you're getting here. Seems to me, I've not played this yet, but this seems to me like, wow, a great set to start with. So I'm very impressed. I'm very much looking forward to playing it. I'm very much looking forward to assembling some of these ships, and I am going to do that because I want to get this to the table. I love naval games. I'm very eager to play this one, and there's a bit of nostalgia for me because it's been a long time since I played Dystopian Wars. So yeah, I'm looking forward to revisiting this if I can fit everything back in the box. I don't want to be too just overwhelmingly positive just because I haven't played this game yet. So I'm eager to play it. I'm excited to play it. I guess what I can definitely say without any fear is that there's a lot in this box, and it looks awesome. Like the quality of the miniatures and the sculpt looks really good. The plastic looks great. The sprues look fantastic. The rulebook, beautiful. Just the volume of stuff you're getting in this box is impressive. And I've just checked the price, and it's for sale in some places at like £85 roughly. So I'm genuinely, that's not a small investment. That's a lot of money to spend on a game. But when you get this much, I think that's a fantastic starting point for a brand new game. And the fact that you do get 2 full fleets with lots of extra stuff as well. You've got a bit of flexibility in the armies and the fleets that you can build, the missions that you can play. yeah, I am on first impressions only incredibly impressed. Now, like I say, I've been given this for free. Thank you again to Warcradle Studios. So that's always going to colour like my perceptions of it. And I got to go and meet the people who have made this. So I'm already super excited about it, and I've seen what they're doing with it. And I see, so I'm already inclined to be excited about this. So yeah, but I think just in terms of what I'm seeing with this box, I'm very pleased that it lives up to that excitement, I guess. And if you want to win a copy of this, I have 2 copies of this game, the Dominion of the Dragon 2-player starter set for Dystopian Wars. 2 copies available to win. I'm going to be doing draws on my Patreon, patreon.com/JordanSorcery. You can go there right now and enter. You just have to answer a very simple question. It is free to enter. Anybody can come. You just need to go to the my Patreon. You need to sign up. You can sign up as a free member. You'll get access to articles. You'll get access to some exclusive interviews, and there's free stuff there for you to enjoy. And you can enter the giveaway for this, which I, again, very grateful to Warcradle for supporting me with that. If you decide to join and become a paid member, you get even more stuff. There's loads more stuff, and that is how I'm able to continue making videos about the history of Warhammer and Games Workshop and other tabletop games because of that Patreon support. So patreon.com/JordanSorcery, you can win a copy of the Dominion of the Dragon 2-player starter set for Dystopian Wars right now. You can read an article about JOKAERO history right now for free, and you can join up and get access to loads more cool stuff as well. The next game that I've been sent looks very cool. I'm really excited to read the PDF. It is Bleak Command HEVELIUS from Hour 41 Games. On a quick overview of the book, it looks very elegantly put together. The actual graphic design is really lovely. The rules seem pretty clearly expressed, and there seems to be a nice consideration to creating a world that is slightly different to what we've seen before, but draws on lots of different influences and inspirations from across different spacefaring stories. In a broad sense, it kind of reminds me of the sort of aesthetic elegance and stripped back look of EVE Online. I really like the look of this game. I've not delved too deep into it, but I think the graphic design looks great, and I think that there's some really fun stuff. And it's awesome to see indie designers exploring space combat games in new ways. So I'm quite eager to spend a bit more time with this when I can to find out more about it. I believe there is a Kickstarter scheduled for some point in the future, in the not too distant future. So I'm going to keep my eyes open for that as well and see if there's more information about what they plan to do with the rest of the game as they expand it. Now, at the top of this video, I promised you something that is mind-blowing, and I stand by that. I think that this is going to be pretty spectacular. Now, I'm not going to get into super deep detail about this because I'm going to be making a dedicated video, probably multiple dedicated videos about it in the future, but I did want to share with you just an incredible artifact of history. Now, you may remember Battlefleet Gothic, which is an incredible naval combat game in the 41st millennium. It's set in 40k, it came out in the late 90s, and it was designed primarily by Andy Chambers. It is a really fun game, and yeah, it's a lot of awesome time spent flying through the space of 40k, fighting spaceship battles with some amazing miniatures that they released for this game. I would love to see it come back because it is fantastic. But some of you may well know that there is an earlier space combat game set in the 40k universe called Space Fleet. That came out in 1991. But Space Fleet was not the original intention for the first 40k naval combat game. It was a reaction to a problem. It was a response to having a load of produced miniatures for a space combat game, but not having the space combat game itself, because that had been scrapped. You see, the Battlefleet Gothic that we got in 1999 was not the original Battlefleet Gothic that had been developed 10 years earlier in 1989. So as wonderful as this game is, there has always been a question mark about this game. You see, this, and I don't know if you'll actually be able to see it here, but there is a stamp right here from Games Workshop Design Studio, Enfield Chambers, 14 to 16 Low Pavement, Nottingham, NGL17DL, and there's a phone number as well. This is the original Jiffy mailer that was sent out to playtesters for the original version of Battlefleet Gothic as designed by Richard Halliwell, designer of Space Hulk and Dark Future, and co-creator of Warhammer Fantasy. Now, I am absolutely astonished to have a copy of this. It is truly incredible. I've basically not been able to sleep for weeks because it is really something very, very special. This is literally the original photocopies, printouts, what have you, of a version of Battlefleet Gothic that has never been released. I mean, you can see like just how thick this thing is, and it really genuinely incredible. So allow me to just read the intro message, or at least some of the intro letter from Richard Halliwell. Hello, here's your game test copy of our new spaceship game, which you can call Gothic, Space War, Battlefleet Gothic, Starfleet Action, or Adeptus Spaceshipicus. And then there are instructions for playtesting this game, how to put it together, all of the different tokens and everything that you need to cut out, how the actual rulebook works, and the fact that some of it's evolving and changing, a little bit about the vector movement, which I'll talk about in a second, and then there's also some rule changes. So since the creation of this actual playtest copy, there were then subsequent changes. What I did think was really fun is that he goes on to say, it would obviously be simpler to hole punch the later sections and label them up using the page dividers. I haven't done this because doing 6 copies would take several hours, and I can't find a hole punch, brackets, liar. So there is just such a lot of character, even to just this introductory letter from Richard Halliwell. It is really fun to read some of his words here and just sort of seeing how he's approaching this. He signs off by saying, okay, that appears to be the end of the letter. For doing all this, you receive the gratuitous payment of 1 copy of the game when it gets released, plus credits for the players. I'm notoriously bad at organising this, so please keep a list of all the people who play it and send it later. Look forward to hearing from you, Richard Halliwell. And then there's subsequent letters and some other stuff here about changes. But yeah, these papers are the original playtest papers. This is how to play Richard Halliwell's 1989 Battlefleet Gothic. I'm stunned. I'm genuinely stunned. This is an artifact from history. This is something just complete. Like, this was lost. This was, as close as you can get to gaming lost media, I suppose. There's no published version of this game. It doesn't exist. The fact that this still exists is just incredible to me. I can't quite believe it. So I'm enormously grateful to the wonderful Dominic Camus, who sent me this copy. He was one of the original playtesters. He worked on Advanced Hero Quest and playtested some stuff for different Games Workshop games as well. And I've got an interview with Dominic coming up on my Patreon relatively soon. I'm going to be doing a full video about this rule set and about what I discover in these papers. And I will also be doing a full history of Battlefleet Gothic that charts the journey from this and the games that inspired this to Space Fleet and then on to Battlefleet Gothic of 1999 to look at that full journey. So that's all stuff that's going to be coming up in the future. I will just talk a little bit more now about just some of this stuff. I mean, you can see from the actual sort of design of the ships and how these things are put together. There is some folks, so Dom has told me, and some other folks have responded to the initial posts I've put on social media from this, about how this seems to be sort of in dialogue with Starfleet Battles, which is a spin-off of Star Trek, and it was a complete sort of separate universe of Star Trek and a load of combat games, space battle games, based in an early divergent version of the Star Trek universe. I've never played Starfleet Battles. I have looked into it and I sort of have tried to get a bit of a feel for it to understand it better. You have these kind of templates that really plot out all of the different elements of your starship and the batteries and the photon torpedoes and the phasers and the engines, how much power you have. And then there are some really sort of it looks from the outside, it looks quite complex when it comes to like energy allocation and what you want to do and how often you can move and fire and do all this kind of stuff. This, I'm told, and I sort of am beginning to get the sense that this design for this version of Battlefleet Gothic from Richard Halliwell was kind of in dialogue with Starfleet Battles and maybe was kind of taking on from that some ideas and responding to it and kind of exploring alternative approaches to similar things. You know, that maybe he played some Starfleet battles and that inspired this, or he saw it and maybe didn't even play it, but it kind of gave him some ideas or may have influenced the creation of this game. So I'm going to be digging into that a lot more as well to try and understand some more about it. But there's loads of Eldar ships here. You know, the Hellebore is in here. You get a load of different ships, loads of different Imperial ships, a lot of smaller stuff as well. Obviously, the Gothic cruiser is in here because that is the ship that ends up in Space Fleet and was on the various bits of art for Space Crusade. Loads of tokens for you to cut out and put together, and then into the actual sort of, you know, how to play, the sequence of play, and a load of other stuff. One of the really interesting things with this game is its vectored movement system. So it is designed on the principle that there's no friction in space. So if you move through space, if you apply your jets, your thrusters, your engines, and then stop firing them, your ship will continue to move with momentum. Nothing is going to stop it. There's no friction to slow it down or stop it. So until you rotate your ship and fire the engines in the opposite direction, you're just going to keep moving off the board, basically. There's that warnings about you don't want to move at full speed because you're probably going to leave the playing area. So you only really want to do that if you're being chased or if you're damaged and you want to escape. So really interesting stuff. One of the things that produces, which I think is actually awesome, and I really love the cinematic visual of this, is that your facing as a ship is not affected by your movement direction. So your base has its own direction of movement, and then you can rotate your ship on the top, which means that you could actually be moving, firing your engines and moving in one direction, going past another vessel, rotating your ship so that you get the broadside, and you could fire all your cannons as you move past it. And it's really, really fun. This idea that your ship it kind of is moving independently, rotating independently of its direction of travel, presents some really interesting ideas to me, I think. So, yeah, I'm excited. I've not fully completed my read-through of these rules, and I'll be honest, I'm not 100% sure how to sort of share this and to talk about it. So, you know, is it setting up a game and playing through it? Is it just going page by page by page? Is it a full breakdown and review? You know, there's a lot of different stuff. Obviously, I will want to archive this and make stuff available if I can in the future. So there's a lot more work to be done with this incredible artifact. You know, I'm very, very aware that I'm the custodian of this for the time being. So I want to make sure that I do it justice, that I share it as much as I can, and that, you know, it becomes part of the history of Battlefleet Gothic. So there's loads of stuff that I'm going to be exploring in the future over the rest of this year. I'm not, that won't be like next week, or it might not even be next month, but over the rest of this year, alongside other stuff I'm working on, I will be spending a lot of time on this and coming back to and exploring Battlefleet Gothic 89, and just, you know, I honestly cannot wait. I'm very excited to get this to the gaming table. It's something that I think is going to be awesome. So, yeah, really, really looking forward to that. I hope that you are as just amazed as I am by this thing's, even its existence, let alone having it in my hands. I'm just floored. So there you go. That is the second episode of Jordan Sorcery's Magic Mailbag complete. I want to thank everybody once again who has sent me anything. I really, really appreciate it. So thank you to Chris for sending me the White Dwarf. Thank you to Matt for sending me the JOKAERO from Lead and Steel, Sheffield. Thank you to Hour 41 Games for sending me their HEVELIUS core rulebook PDF. Incredible thanks to Warcradle Studios for sending me not just this copy of Dominion of the Dragon to take a look at, but 2 copies to give away at patreon.com/JordanSorcery. Go and check it out. You can get your own copy of the game for free if you enter my giveaway right now. And enormous, enormous thanks to Dom for sending me the incredible, the impossible Battlefleet Gothic 1989 Richard Halliwell playtest. I just cannot, I've said it 1,000 times, but it's genuinely true. I cannot believe that this thing exists and that I have it and that I'm able to explore it and to share it with you guys, because this is true history. This is the reason that I'm here, that I'm doing this stuff, is to document and explore the history of Warhammer and Games Workshop and to go down these avenues and to archive this stuff, to create this record of this incredible history. So that is what I intend to do, and keep an eye on the channel. And if you want to support that project, if you want to help me in my work documenting Warhammer and Games Workshop history, then do consider checking out patreon.com/JordanSorcery and consider supporting me there. It is the only way I'm able to continue doing this, and I feel like there's a lot of, important work. It's important in a sense that I think we should be retaining this stuff. We should be doing what we can to explore and archive and understand the history of genuinely a pop culture juggernaut at this point, but something that has had so many amazing people create so much amazing stuff. I feel like it is worthwhile doing this work. So if you want to be involved and you want to support me in doing that, then please check it out. I'm very grateful to you. And I'm very grateful to everybody who sent me something, everybody who watches this video and likes it and subscribes to the channel. You're all part of helping this happen. And I'm just enormously humbled to be here right now. So thank you. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Jordan, and this is Jordan Sorcery.